It was raining the night Ethan found her, soaking wet, shivering under a thin blanket, sitting by the side of the road with her knees drawn to her chest. He had been driving home after another exhausting double shift at the construction site, his heart heavy with the weight of single fatherhood. His ex-wife had walked out on him and their 6-year-old daughter, Mia, 2 years ago, leaving nothing but a note that said she was done with this life. Since then, every day had been a battle, balancing work, bills, and the fragile smiles of a little girl who missed her mother. That night, as the rain battered the windshield and his wipers struggled to keep up, Ethan almost drove past the figure on the sidewalk. But something, maybe the way her shoulders trembled, maybe the silent defeat in the way she sat, made him pull over. He rolled down the window and leaned out. "Hey! Are you okay?" She lifted her head slowly. Even in the dim light, he could see her face was pale, her lips blue from the cold. "I'm fine," she whispered, but her voice was weak. "No, you're not," Ethan replied firmly. "Get in the truck. You'll freeze out here." She hesitated, glancing at him as if weighing whether he was trustworthy. Finally, she nodded and climbed in, clutching the soaked blanket around her thin frame. "What's your name?" he asked as he turned the heat up. "Lila," she said softly. She didn't offer more, and he didn't press. When they reached his small rented house, Mia was already asleep. He gave Lila some dry clothes, an old hoodie and sweatpants, and heated up leftover soup. She ate slowly, as if savoring each bite, and when she finished, she whispered, "Thank you," with tears in her eyes. Ethan told her she could stay the night on the couch. The next morning, when he offered to drive her to a shelter, she shook her head. "Please. I'll work. I'll cook, clean, anything. Just, let me stay for a while." Something in her voice broke him. He didn't have much, but he knew what it felt like to have nowhere to go. "All right," he said. "But you don't owe me anything. Just, be honest with me." She nodded quickly, but her eyes carried a shadow, as if she were holding back more than she could say. Days turned into weeks. Lila proved to be quiet but warm-hearted. She cooked meals that made their tiny home smell like a 5-star restaurant and helped Mia with her homework, patiently explaining every question. Mia adored her. Slowly, Ethan began to notice the way Lila sometimes stared out the window at night, lost in thought, or flinched when strangers came too close at the market. He figured she'd been through something terrible and decided not to push her. But life had its way of throwing storms when you least expected. One afternoon, Ethan came home early from work to find Lila sitting at the table, holding a letter with trembling hands. When she saw him, she quickly hid it. "What's that?" he asked gently. "Nothing," she said too fast. But he saw the panic in her eyes. Before he could ask again, a black luxury car pulled up outside. 2 men in suits stepped out. One knocked on the door, his tone firm but respectful. "Miss Lila, your father has been looking for you for months. Please, come home." Ethan froze. "Father? Home?" Lila's eyes filled with tears. "I can't," she whispered. "Not after what happened that night." The men insisted they meant no harm, but Lila's body shook with fear. After they left, Ethan asked, "What's going on, Lila?" She took a deep breath, and the truth spilled out. She wasn't a beggar at all. She was the only daughter of a billionaire, heir to a massive empire. But on her 25th birthday, a deal was made behind her back. Her father arranged her marriage to a powerful man she barely knew, someone who saw her as a prize, not a person. That night, she ran away, desperate to escape the life they had planned for her. She had been living on the streets ever since, trying to hide from the people her family had sent to bring her back. "I didn't want to be someone's possession," she said, tears rolling down her cheeks. "And when you found me, you didn't see money or status. You just helped me." Ethan sat in silence for a moment, trying to process. "Lila, you don't have to go back if you don't want to. You can stay here. We'll figure it out." She looked at him with something like hope in her eyes. Over the months, their bond deepened. Ethan found himself drawn to her kindness, her resilience. Lila found in him a man who valued her heart, not her wealth. One evening, as Mia played in the yard, Ethan and Lila sat on the porch. I know this sounds crazy, he said, but, would you marry me? Her breath caught. Ethan. I don't have anything to give you. He smiled. You've given me more than you know. You've given me a family again. She nodded, tears shining in her eyes, and whispered, yes. Their wedding was small, just a few friends and Mia as the flower girl. But it was filled with laughter and love. It wasn't until months later, after their marriage, that Lila's past caught up again. Her father came, not with anger, but with regret. He had learned the truth about the man he tried to marry her to and wanted to make amends. When he discovered that Ethan had married her without knowing she was wealthy, he was deeply moved. You saw her worth when I forgot to, he said to Ethan. And with that, he welcomed Ethan and Mia into the family. But Lila refused to let money change them. They stayed in the same house, living the same simple life, except now, they had the freedom to help others who had nowhere to go, just like Ethan had helped her. By the end of the story, the lesson was clear: love built on truth and kindness is worth more than all the riches in the world. So, if you believe real love still exists, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this story, because you never know, your kindness might just change someone's life forever. The night after her father's visit, Ethan lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The sound of rain pattered softly on the tin roof, but his mind was far from calm. He turned his head toward Lila, who was asleep beside him, her hair fanned out on the pillow. Even in her sleep, her hand rested lightly over his, as if afraid he might disappear if she let go. He thought about the life she had before, the palaces she'd probably walked through, the expensive gowns, the chauffeured cars, and how she now chose this modest, creaky little house with mismatched furniture and chipped mugs. The next morning, Mia bounded into their room, climbing onto the bed with a burst of energy. Daddy! Lila! It stopped raining, can we go to the park? Lila laughed, pulling Mia into her arms. Only if you promise to race me to the swings. The park was their little world, a place where Ethan could forget about unpaid bills and Lila could forget about the life she'd run from. That day, as they pushed Mia on the swing, a man with a camera stood watching from a distance. At first, Ethan thought nothing of it until the man turned and quickly walked away, phone pressed to his ear. Lila froze. They found me again, she whispered, her hand gripping Ethan's arm. That night, Ethan double-checked the locks and stayed up late, thinking. We can't keep living like this, Lila, he said finally. They'll keep coming until you face them. Lila shook her head. You don't understand, if I go back, they'll try to force me into that marriage again. That man doesn't care about me. To him, I'm a business deal. Ethan took her hands. Then we fight. Together. No one decides your life for you anymore. A week later, an invitation arrived, a formal letter in gold-trimmed paper from her father's lawyers, requesting her presence at a family reconciliation dinner. Lila's stomach churned. It's a trap, she muttered. But Ethan said, maybe it's a chance. Not to go back, but to tell them you're not their pawn anymore. After long hesitation, she agreed. The night of the dinner, Ethan borrowed a suit from his friend, and Lila wore a simple navy dress. As they entered the Grand Hotel ballroom, the murmurs began. Powerful businessmen, women in glittering gowns, all eyes turned to her. At the far end of the room, her father stood, looking older than she remembered. His voice trembled when he greeted her. Lila! I thought I lost you forever. She didn't hug him immediately, instead looking him in the eye. You almost did. And if you try to control me again, you will. Then, the man she feared most approached, her almost fiancé, Victor Hale. Tall, cold-eyed, with a smile that never reached his face. Lila, he said smoothly, you've had your fun. It's time to come back where you belong. Ethan stepped forward. She belongs with her family. And that's us now. Victor sneered. A construction worker? That's the man you choose over me? Ethan's voice was steady. She chose love over ownership. There's a difference. The room went silent. Lila's father looked between them, and for the first time, his voice was firm toward Victor. The deal is off. If my daughter says no, that's final. Victor's jaw tightened, but he turned